What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up, 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 what up to all of my friends and family. I appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with me. I have a phenomenal show that is lined up for you guys. It is going to be great. So we got a lot to cover, but a lot of it is legal. And then other parts of it actually extend over the things that we've talked about over the last few days. All right. So what's going on to the friends and family in the building? How y'all doing? I appreciate y'all. I see you, Eric Wealth Harris. I see all of my friends, K Cooper, Sabrina, everybody that's on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for rocking out with me. Anton talk about the bag again, like he say he only talks about. I don't really know what that means, but we are going to have to make sure that we communicate clearly. Listen, for all of y'all that like to type and interact with the chat on a regular basis, I need y'all to do one thing. I need you to do one thing. Do a spell check or shout out to y'all. Do a spell check or make sure that you double check what you write or what you wrote or what you type to text or whatever it is that you got going on. Make sure you check that before you send it in the chat because you know I like to leave or I like to interact with the chat and I actually like to highlight some of y'all comments. And if y'all comments is not up to par, then I'm definitely going to hold you accountable. I am going to hold you accountable. So don't make no excuses. Don't get offended when I then call you out, all of that. How many of y'all was actually tapped in the after hours yesterday? I appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with me and tapping in the after hours. What's up, Keisha? Jerry, I see you. Purple Haze, Will Nola, Marty Slice. What up, though? Azriel, what's going on? P. Shank, I see you. Vanessa, Parabellum Film Club. Shout out to y'all. Proofread. Let me give a shout out to my dog, Mike, that dude. I appreciate you on Cash App, big dog. I appreciate you, Mike, that dude. ESDC, thank you. Spencer Campbell, highlights to you. I appreciate you. Everybody that support me on all different platforms, I appreciate y'all. Yo, we gonna hold some people accountable today. It's Wednesday. I'm probably going to live stream on Patreon today. So shout out to all of the 15,000 plus Patreon bag chasers that take advantage of the game and really, really get in on it. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. So first of all, Eric Wealth Harris, I appreciate you. It says, I couldn't imagine not getting boxed for 80 years. 80 years. We're going to talk about that. Shout out to Eric Wealth Harris. P. Shank. Thank you, P. Shank. Says, good morning. Mr. Anton Daniels and a Millionaire Morning Show. Good morning, P. Shank. EB Miles Davis says, tariffs on grammar. Facts. Absolutely. You know, it doesn't cost you anything to learn how to read and communicate clearly, to type. And if this is what y'all typing, then I can only imagine how you talk in real life. Because a lot of people speak the exact same way that they type. Y'all can't even hide yourselves well on your resumes because your resumes is going to reflect the way that you communicate. It's bad. Anyways, y'all ready to get started with the show because we have a lot to cover. Books, Boxolitis, Daily Discourse with Arturo says the last stock club was incredible. I watched it twice and learned so much. I think we're going to do real estate this time in the Patreon. So if y'all not a part of the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I believe that we're going to do stock club next week, block club this week, because there's some things that y'all need to know to be able to take advantage. Yes, 15,000 strong is popping in the Patreon. We killing it on Patreon. All right. So to the more than 1,000 people that has already joined us on YouTube, I appreciate y'all. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the Dusties because they're not adding anything into the conversation. Ground rules before we go ahead and get it popping for the show. So first and foremost, we welcome differences of opinion, especially over here on YouTube. Shout out to all of my people on TikTok too. We welcome differences of opinion. You said you like the whole setup for the office, bro, says Kenny on TikTok. I appreciate you, Kenny. Shout out to you. Now, for those of you that may be tuning in on TikTok, this is the very first live stream that I've ever done on TikTok. So shout out to y'all. But I will say this. We welcome differences of opinion, but we will not tolerate disrespect. You can say whatever it is that you feel about what I'm saying, about me, all of that. Cool. But the minute that I see it, I will remove you. I will have my moderators on YouTube time you out so that you can go and sit in the corner and think about your actions. And then you can come back and join the rest of the class. Yes, we will sit you down in the corner just like you in kindergarten. And you know what? It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we are in 2025. We are grown folks and we don't have the ability to control ourselves with the way that we communicate. Sometimes I think that it's 8-year-olds. Sometimes I think it's 8-year-olds. What's up, Just Montina? What's up, baby girl? So I shouldn't have to make these announcements, but we are going to do it. Secondly, we do not ask for anything from a donation perspective, but we always want to make sure that we acknowledge the people that support the platform. So thank you. We appreciate you. I'll be reading super chats throughout the show. And last but not least, your minimum expectation is to hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And what else? Did we miss anything? If you want to level up, if you want to tap in with the bag chasers on Patreon, link to the Patreon is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. All right, let's go ahead and get into the show. Again, shout out to everybody that's tuning in for the first time on TikTok. Shout out to all of my people on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. I love you. I appreciate you. For the people on us on TikTok, if you truly want to get the full experience, then tap in with us over here on YouTube and we're going to go ahead and get it popping. All right. All right. Let me read a couple of more super chats and then we're going to get it popping. Chase Barnes says, happy Wednesday, AD and peeps. Listen to After Hours this morning. Great show. Love the perspective from each. After Hours have timestamps in it now, all right? So for all of y'all that's tuning in to After Hours from here going forward, After Hours will always have timestamps so you can find out what you need to find out and look for the spots that you want to listen to. Quentin says, grammatical imperfection is not a measure of intellect. Extending grace reflects discernment. The ability to value substance over form. Be nice. And you see how Quentin tried to do me like Island Girl Q? He tried to set me up, but I passed the test. Shout out to Quentin. Hey, Siri, stop. Anyways, y'all ready to go ahead and get started with the show? Let's pop off. All right. Let's get it popping, y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. The first thing that I want to talk about. Wait a minute. Oh, I see what we're doing here. All right. The first thing that I want to talk about is rapper Tay K. All right. So we got multiple different subjects that we're going to cycle through. We have to address this Tay K situation first. I want to talk about Letitia James. She's under fire for mortgage fraud. Yes. Letitia James in New York, the same person that went after Trump. She's under fire for mortgage fraud. We definitely want to get to Harvard, possibly losing their tax-exempt status after already losing over $2.9 billion and federal funding because they want to stand on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Biden popped back out, so we definitely want to talk about Biden. China is saying that they open the talks now as long as they're respected. And Maine is being sued over transgender athletes because they refuse to prevent them from being able to get into women's sports. So we definitely going to talk about all of the different things that's happening within the culture. But first, we need to talk about Tay K, because if this is not the biggest cautionary tale, then I don't know what is. This whole case, this whole situation, this whole sentencing needs to be played in schools, especially within Black culture in the community across the globe. It needs to be studied. It needs to be played. And for all of these dudes that's glorifying this lifestyle, this YN lifestyle, listen, bro, we still got 30 and 40-year-old men that are still trying to glorify a lifestyle that is not conducive to the community or to the United States of America. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. But let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. So this is what's happening on the forefront. First, we're going to go where the judge read the verdict, and then we're going to get into the sentencing, because it's very important for us to break this down in order so that you guys can understand exactly what's going on.
All right, we are on the record in 2019 CR 12495 State versus Tamar McIntyre. Could I have parties announced for the record, please?
Jason Deerhead and Megan Galloway for the state, Your Honor.
John Hunter, Thomas Lane, for Mr. McIntyre, Your Honor.
All right, it's the court's understanding from the deputy that a verdict has been reached in this case. This is what I'm going to tell all the parties who are present in this courtroom. There's not to be any outbursts. If there's an outburst, what's going to end up happening is a deputy is going to tap you on the shoulder. There's no need to get into a conversation with the deputy. That tap on the shoulder is meaning that you are to leave this courtroom, and you will only be allowed back in this courtroom if you're going to be a witness. Does everyone?
So you already know you're in trouble immediately. Immediately before you even start to have a conversation, you got to know that you're in trouble when she's saying and leading with saying that, hey, listen, we're not going to have no outbursts. We're not going to have nobody that's getting out of line. We're not going to have anybody that's being extra dramatic. That tells me that is bad news on the way immediately. If the judge is prefacing reading whether or not you are guilty or innocent by saying that we are not going to have any outbursts, no celebrations, no sad times, no, oh man, I'm feeling some type of way or anything like that. If the judge is leading with that, then that for me automatically got my heart dropping. My heart is in my chest. I don't feel like I'm ever coming home. It's going to be a problem right there.
Everyone understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there anyone who cannot do that? So, both parties for the state and the defense, if you need to talk to members who are currently in court that are either with the state or defense, you may do so now. Otherwise, I'm going to bring the jury in.
I think everyone knows to be on their best behavior, Your Honor.
All right, let's bring the jurors in.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's my understanding that you've reached a verdict in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that verdict unanimous?
Yes.
All right, if you will give the verdict form to Deputy Laura, please. Thank you. All right, if the defendant could please stand. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tamar McIntyre, not guilty of the offense of capital murder. What did I, excuse me, no. No, out of the courtroom. Out of the courtroom now.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you don't ignore that. Sometimes, as you can tell, people are invested, correct? So it says, we the jury find the defendant, Tamar McIntyre, not guilty of the offense of capital murder as charged in the indictment. We the jury find the defendant, Tamar McIntyre, guilty of the lesser included offense of murder. Does anyone wish to have the jury polled?
Not the state, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and do you want them polled as to both counts?
As to the count of conviction, Your Honor.
All right, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you if, in count 2, the guilty verdict for murder, if that is your verdict. If that is your verdict, I'm going to need you to respond yes. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
So we'll start on this end and work our way down. Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
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 Is this your verdict?
They're alternates.
Oh, yes. All right. Back row.
Yes, sorry.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
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 All right.
That, honestly, I would have just threw up. Dog, you might as well just kill me. There, in my opinion, without freedom, there is no life. Like, if I gotta go away or I gotta go and sit with a bunch of men, I don't even like hanging out with only men in regular life. Like, it has to be some ending with a woman. It has to be a woman somewhere. Like, I know that we in a gender war. I know that everybody is beefing. I know that everybody, decentering men, and men is mad at women, and it's going to continue to overflow into the things that we deal with on a regular basis. But I'm just going to tell you, honest to God, in my heart, if you have never had an appreciation for the opposite sex, you have to have it right here. I know, look, dog, real talk. We talk a lot of stuff on a regular basis, but the reality is that we need each other. I'm not even me unless I can get my fix off by being around some feminine energy, because that keeps the rage from going crazy. That's why everybody is so overly aggressive, because everybody got this pent up anger and demand. And look how small and young he is. Look how small and young he is. That's somebody's boyfriend. That is going to be somebody's boyfriend at some point. Don't tell me he's not about to be somebody. You don't think? Okay. All right. Well, let's move over to the next clip, because I'm going to tell you what a loss of hope looks like.
All right. It states that we unanimously find that the defendant, Tamar McIntyre, did not cause the death of Anthony Saldivar under the immediate influence of sudden passion arising.
Somebody in the chat, Deshaun in the chat says he'll do 30 and then get out for good behavior. 30 is life. I'm 43 years old. 30, if I do 30, first of all, I don't even think that you can get that amount of time shaved off. You can't get 50 years shaved off a 80-year sentence. I don't know what kind of math y'all got going on. I don't know what homie you know that then snitched on somebody, but you can't get 50 years removed from an 80-year sentence. And let's get into the sentencing first.
From adequate cause. It states that punishment to be assessed at 80 years in the prison, and there's no fine. Does anyone wish to have the jury polled?
Not what I'm saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
No, dog. No. I reject that. Listen, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Listen, did we pray today? Lord, rebuke large sentences for doing things that we're not supposed to do. Bless us to be proactive. Bless our young dudes to focus. Because look, you can't sit here and blame this on the system. You can't go by and say, oh man, it's because of systematic oppression. He rapped about it in his music. He went out there and he lived in his raps. And then he went and took somebody else's life. That is another part of the black community. And so the biggest threat against black people is black people. You be hard pressed to be worried about going somewhere and worried about a white person doing something to you. I know that it's popular. I know that we've been talking about Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony and everybody be getting bent out of shape. But we distracted from the things that's really killing our communities. When you think about Chicago, when you think about drill music, when you think about the fact that they're down over 2,000 police officers from, being able to serve the community, when you think about all of the protests when they were saying defund the police and stuff, when you think about people losing their lives on a regular basis and what the reality is, because you don't just lose your life as far as the person that got killed or the person that he's shooting at, the person that gets caught also lose their life. And we got to fund it as taxpayers. That ain't nothing to glorify. I remember seeing here on TikTok a whole bunch of people. I remember prison talk used to be a thing. Is prison talk still a thing on TikTok? Is prison talk a thing on TikTok? Where they used to have phones and they used to be doing relay races and showing you, oh man, prison ain't that bad. No, it's bad, dog. I don't care what the rappers tell you. I don't care how they tell you that you lame. I don't care who trying to convince you that you ain't a real one unless you did some time and you need a felony on your record. It ain't nothing glorified about it. Ain't nothing cool about it. For all of y'all dudes that they keep saying, yeah, man, I just got out of prison. I remember it was dudes that was trying to hold me accountable because I didn't understand prison talk. Anton, you let a person that you was interviewing amongst your security petition you, dog. I would have crashed out. Man, I'm not crashing out for nobody. I'm not ever going to jail. Two things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to lose no money over you. I'm not going to go to jail over you. And then we could put an asterisk. I'm never, ever, ever going to put a woman before my bag. That's just life. That's law for me. That's the way that I was raised in my family in Detroit. I'm not crashing out and I'm not going to jail for nobody. I don't want to be around nobody that's doing crime. I don't want to be friends with nobody that's doing crime. I don't want nobody to come around me that did crime in their previous years that still got stuff that they wasn't arrested for, that the statute of limitations is not. I don't even want nobody looking at me funny. I don't want to be nowhere around you. I want to be where the money at. I want to be where the women at. And I want to be where the freedom is at. You can have that. You can have your 80 years. You tough. You with the Anton, I can't believe that you, man, I don't know what they do in prison. I ain't never been to jail. Why would I ever want to be familiar or unfamiliar with what y'all doing on the other side of where you can't do nothing except for squat, piss, and then you controlled by whoever it is biggest and strongest inside of your cell? What you talking about? I don't want to be around y'all. I don't want to know the lingo. I don't want to know the culture. I don't even watch Locked Up on MSNBC. I believe that was an indoctrination documentary or series that was trying to convince people that it wasn't as bad because you had people on that whole series going, They got R. Kelly singing on the phone. Don't nobody care about Puff no more. You just get forgotten. Life moves on. They find a new content creator. They find a new record executive. They find a new person that's doing Diddy parties. They find a new everything. Don't nobody care about you. Ain't nobody check for Diddy. He probably got a head full of gray hair, look just like Bill Cosby right now. If this not a reality check, I don't know what is. He's sitting there stoic. I guess he's still keeping it real, dog. You going away forever. We never gonna see you again. We never gonna check your music again. You're never gonna get a royalty. You're never gonna be able to see a girlfriend. You're never gonna get married. You're never gonna have kids. You're never gonna be able to experience life. You can't go to the Grand Canyon. You can't go and visit Tokyo. You can't go overseas and get your passport. You can't go and be free and then go and do whatever you want to do. You're never gonna go to Coachella. You can't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Go to jail and shut up. That's it. That's the end of your term. You lived your small amount of life just to impress people that didn't care nothing about you. And look where it got you. And we still promoting this trash culture and this trash behavior amongst our people. Shout out to Vincent Holder. I'm going to read that super chat shortly.
All right.
Crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm first going to start with your unanimous decision
Shout out to the
stating
people on
that there
TikTok.
was no fighting of sudden passion. If that is your verdict, I'll need you to respond yes. Does everyone understand? We'll start on the end. Is this your verdict? I'm sorry?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Oh.
I'm on the back row. I'm sorry. Is this your verdict on the back row? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? With regards to the sentence of 80 years in the prison and no fine, if this is your verdict, I need you to answer yes. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yes.
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 Verdict.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you go back to the jury room, and I'll meet you back there shortly. Everyone, please rise for the jurors.
And he just stood up like no big deal. Got his sweater on. I can't do it, dog. I can't do it. Honestly, I just can't do it. I'm not built for that. I've never been built for jail. I've never wanted to impress other people so much so that I'm willing to put my life on the line for it. I'm not built for it. I hope that I hope that somebody sees this and that this is meaningful and this is a reality check for people. And y'all realize that it ain't nothing out here waiting for you except death or jail or somebody inside of a cell like Fleece Johnson that's going to take advantage of your femininity. He going to take your virginity. That is supposed to be a reality check. Everybody should be scared. I know I would be scared. There's very few things that I'm scared of in this lifetime, but I'm definitely scared of getting sentenced to anything, and that's why you always going to see me on my best behavior. Facts. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats really quickly. Mental Agility with the fireball says, not on topic, but what's your take on a dust-up between Chinese manufacturers and designer brands? Do you think that this is a response to tariffs? I don't. I believe, and I actually did a review on this, was it yesterday or the day before? I believe that everybody that you see coming online, these Chinese manufacturers, are the ones that create the knockoffs. I went and made a few phone calls to better understand some stuff. And what I found is that any manufacturer of designer products, which some of them is not even manufactured over in China, some of them are handmade, but any manufacturer of products, they still have a great relationship with whoever it is that builds their products. Now, ask yourself this question. Why would a manufacturer of a product that still have a great relationship with whoever it is that they're doing business with, why would they risk that? The ones that are actually promoting and getting online and pushing this are people that are trying to push propaganda in front of you to incentivize you to go against your own retailers or to hurry up and get rid of the tariffs. Well, why would they do that? Because they are losing business and they're suffering. So the ones that are going out of business are the ones that's pushing the propaganda because they are trying to influence Americans that don't have critical thinking skills to go in and then advocate to their legislators to hurry up and get rid of the tariffs or hurry up and do a deal. We're going to get into that in a minute. I'm actually going to deep dive into that. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your mental agility. Without question then says, with the two ball says, you ever considered live streaming on Rumble? Yeah, but they need to come with a bigger bag. They need to come with a bigger bag. I'm not going to just do it for the sake of doing it. I have to actually see the benefits of it. Donnell says you streaming on TikTok now, big dog. Got to love a bag over there. You know what? I'm going to talk about that on the Patreon today a little bit when we get in the block club. Jason Green with a two ball says, Tay look like he working IT. Somebody going to be working his IT. Falafel Bay with the two ball says, what up to the Danielites? What up though? Parabellum Film Club says, Judge said take this L and like it. Thank you for the two ball. I appreciate you. AR Smitty with a 10 ball. Thank you for the $10. AR Smitty says, Judge to Tay K, friends and family, you know you done effed up right. Facts. And shout out to the over 3,000 people in here on YouTube. I appreciate y'all for continuing to hold me down. Make sure y'all share this with y'all friends and family. Aaron L says, completed my Six Sigma Master Black Belt certification today. Next week is my final capstone presentation with my CEO for my engineering management. Shout out to you, Aaron L. You're doing great work, bro. I appreciate you for being a part of the crew over here. Without question says he going to have to fight back. So Fleece Johnson, the third, don't make him his bottom for the next 80 years. Show Me Trees says Anton Tay K was already serving a 55 years. A.R. Smitty says, speak for yourself, AD. Them prison talk gymnastics went crazy. Thank you for the 10 ball, A.R. Smitty. Vincent Holder with a 5 ball says, good morning, Anton. I'm a new bag chaser. Shout out to the new Patreon members and bag chasers. Welcome to Getting Richer every single day. Without question says, with a 2 ball, they talk about guns. They talk about gunplay in any kind. It's towards us. Rashonda Blackwell, thank you for the 2, says, the culture is killing us, so much to unlearn. Tanea Davis. What up to Tanea Davis? You looking beautiful. Says, as someone who was recently released from prison, let me tell you, it's nothing to brag about. Learn from our mistakes and do better. That's wisdom. You never really see women speak on it, so I appreciate you, Tanea. Thank you for rocking out with us. Mr. Lot with the 10 ball says, you can't convince me that it's cool to drink hooch and relay race other men all day. I'm just fine out here with my whiskey. I'd rather be poor and broke on the streets than be locked up in jail with a bunch of men. That is death to me. Chase Barnes with the 10 ball, I appreciate you, says, to quote Jay-Z, I'm too sexy for jail. Like Wright said, Fred, not guilty. Now give me back my bread. Jail is not for me. We see eye to eye right now. Ace Flex Fitness says, we never should have gave these N-words money. 392Q says, with the 5 ball says, give me the firing squad or the needle if there's no possibility of parole. I'll be damned. Facts. Trey D says, Carmelo Anthony fate might be very similar to Tay K's. We definitely going to keep an eye on it. Rick H-Town says, he should have been better off getting a job at them Renterspoons. Facts. Anything. Give me any job. I'll do it. Lil Black Duck 2001 says, what you doing on TikTok right now? Doing what I do, the same thing I'm doing on YouTube, except for on YouTube, we got over 3,100 people now inside of the chat. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Anybody looking for me on social media, I do not have multiple or duplicate social media accounts. My social media platforms are in the description of the video. All right. Thank y'all for continuing to hold me down. Thank you to everybody that continue to support me on these platforms. I appreciate you guys for the likes. Let's continue to get on with the show. Tia Marie 2 with the 5 ball says, hey, D, don't want anything, just saying, hey, missed you and my chat family. Welcome back, Tia Marie. We missed you too. Thank you, baby. Thank you for holding me down. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into the next part of the show. So I got to give y'all an update on what's going on with Harvard. So remember when I was telling you guys that Harvard had a protest all last week and up through the weekend where basically different students, some of which were not even American citizens, but was here on a student visa. Others were looking to get their student visa revoked because they decided that they wanted to bring themselves to the front of the congregation. And alumni, different people, faculty, staff, they were pushing the president of Harvard and their board to stand up against the Trump administration, right? And what they were risking was the possibility of completely losing all funding, okay? All funding. What does that mean? When I say all funding, there was over $9 billion this year alone that is allocated towards Harvard University. And it's not just towards academics, it's towards research, grants, all of these things that a lot of these major universities use to continue to bolster the finances and also the endowment of the university itself. They get these research grants, they get these things that we then ultimately sometimes use, sometimes we don't, but they benefit from American taxpayer dollars, okay? And so they pulled the trigger. They let people put a battery in their back and they said, you know what? We are going to allow for you guys to influence us to take on the Trump administration. And for what? Because all Trump is doing is saying, listen, we don't need anti-Semitism. We don't want our universities to be indoctrination camps. We don't want for these things to be diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need to have people in here based off of merit, not people that don't qualify and somebody else loses a position to be able to get inside of the university. Instead, they decided to jump off the bridge and take on the Trump administration. So, as a result, this is what's going on. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I'll bring you guys up to speed because now the Trump administration is saying that Harvard should lose their tax-exempt status if they do not comply, even after he has already taken over $2.9 billion, not million, not thousand, $billion of federal funding away from Harvard University. And you would think that they were smarter than that, right? I would think that they were smarter than that.
Escalating confrontation between Harvard and the Trump administration as a university rejects demands to change its policy. First, the White House froze billions of dollars in federal aid. Now the president's saying Harvard should perhaps lose its tax-exempt status. Will Reed is in Cambridge with the latest. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Robin. The Trump administration says that it's investigating dozens of universities to get rid of anti-Semitism on campus. In this case, Harvard says it has taken steps to do that and is standing firm on its constitutional right by defying the Trump administration's orders. And now the president is suggesting his support for a fundamental change to how Harvard operates.
This morning, the latest on the clash between the White House and Harvard. The president now suggesting the university should lose its tax-exempt status if it doesn't comply with his administration.
Harvard has not taken the president or the administration's demands seriously.
Those demands include that Harvard report foreign students who've committed conduct violations to federal authorities, and all DEI programs and initiatives share hiring data and submit auditing on administrative data to ensure all departments have diverse viewpoints. While the administration has already frozen $2 billion in federal grants and is targeting $7 billion more, Harvard is digging in. The university president writing in a statement, no government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue.
Now, here's my question, all right? Here's my question. Harvard is a private university. All right. Harvard is a private university. They're saying no administration should be able to dictate, no government entity should be able to dictate what they teach, who they allow on campus, and basically allow for them to be able to run their business as they see fit. Cool. I have no problem with that. But why should we continue to support you with taxpayer dollars if you don't meet the expectations of what we've deemed as a society, right? As a culture, as a country? Because let's be clear, he won the majority vote, and he also won every single swing state. And so if it's our taxpayer dollars, because the people that are in office, whether you're talking about it on a national scale or whether you're talking about on a local scale, the people in office, hear me clearly, are a reflection of the people that voted for them. So we don't have the ability to determine whether or not Harvard get research dollars or whether or not they can do this or whether or not they can do that. We don't have that capacity to do it. But what we can do is elect the people that represent our best interests as taxpayers. And so if they then say that we want to remove ourselves from meeting the expectations of what this current administration and the federal government, because we have no problem with just giving all of our money away when it's under a Democratic president like Biden, which we'll get to later on in the show. We have no problem with that whatsoever. No problem. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody thinks about it. Nobody is evaluating what the budget is. Nobody is having a conversation. You know, they'll kick out whoever conservative, or if somebody got a completely different viewpoint, freedom of speech, they'll remove them from the campus and say, no, this is private property. This is private college. Well, then I think that my dollar should be private also. No? Now, I know that Columbia said that, you know what? We're not necessarily interested in battling against the Trump administration. We're going to meet all of the requirements because we got to make sure that we take care of the people. And it's not even that the possibility that the policies that the Trump administration is telling them to implement is a bad thing. When did it become bad to not be racist? Basically allow for people to be able to get in on merit. When did it become a problem for there to be diversity of conversation and thought? Meaning that we shouldn't be operating in an echo chamber in a silo. I don't even operate in an echo chamber in a silo here on the Millionaire Morning Show right here on YouTube.
President Obama writing on social media, Harvard has set an example for other higher ed.
President Obama is writing on X. He's leveraging his free speech on a platform that does not censor liberals, even though they hate Elon Musk. Imagine that. People mobilize on a platform against the person that owns the platform, and he allows them to do it because he actually believes in American values and removing censorship.
Institutions rejecting an unlawful and ham-handed attempt to stifle academic freedom. Let's hope other institutions follow suit.
And overnight, a Harvard law professor telling ABC News that this could all go to court and that Harvard has a strong legal position in the way of First Amendment and Civil Rights Act protections that do not permit the Trump administration to do.
So let's look at it from a completely different view, because I always like to go to different sources. I want to go more to the liberal sources, and then I also source from more conservative views. So we're going to go over to Fox News and get their take on it, and then I'll give you my thoughts, and then we'll move over to the next part of the show.
And welcome back here. Sue live now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. What we want to do right now is take up some time to kind of dive into in detail for you this brewing battle between the Ivy League campuses like Harvard and Columbia and the Trump administration. Our colleague Fox's Rebecca Castor has a look at this battle. Let's watch.
The Trump administration is not soon forgetting the widespread pro-Palestine protests that swept across university campuses last year. Some of the international student leaders are facing deportation, and now federal funding is on the line.
We have been addressing the issue of anti-Semitism on campuses. There's been some grant funding and contract funding that we've reviewed, and some we've canceled and some we've put on hold.
Harvard is the latest school to have billions in federal grants and contracts put on hold after university leaders refused government demands, including to eliminate DEI programs, report foreign students here on visas who violate codes of conduct, and return to merit-based hiring and admissions.
These higher ed institutions that have fundamentally lost their way, U.S. taxpayer dollars should never be propping up anti-Semitism.
Harvard is the seventh school targeted by the Trump administration, but it's the first to push back, with the university's president saying in part, quote, "No government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue."
Harvard University today said, "Go to hell."
Harvard's move also drawing praise from alum and former President Barack Obama, who says other institutions should follow suit. Harvard says it has already taken action against anti-Semitism on campus and argues many of Trump's demands are not related. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
So essentially what you see is Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, and others who have no vested interest in what happens at these universities, aren't even alum of these universities. Barack Obama don't even go back to Chicago. The only time he ever is seen appearing in Chicago is when he's trying to finish his presidential library and he wants to be seen in a photo op. Kids don't go back to Chicago. Barack don't go back to Chicago. They don't even have a home still in Chicago. They out of there. They gone. So miss me with the nonsense. But they're putting the battery inside of Harvard's back. They don't have their back. And it's going to end up in a situation where it's absolutely, positively dire. I would never take on the federal government. I would never take on the Trump administration. And especially when it's coming at the behest of the students. You know, these endowments and these monies that is being spent over at these universities, they help to keep tuition down. They help when it comes to grants for people that can't afford to go there, that still want to compete. The money is allocated and dedicated in a lot of different ways, but more importantly, losing billions of dollars in funding is never going to be a good situation. So in summary, the Trump administration is recommending that they basically lose their tax-exempt status. I don't know if that's going to actually play out. However, Anton over here at AntonDaniels.com and the Millionaire Morning Show will keep you guys up to date on what's going on out in these streets. because I definitely want you guys to be informed. And when somebody approaches you with a conversation that may not necessarily be conducive for what we think is going on in society, you'll be armed with the right information to present to them so that you can change their mind. Hopefully. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let me read a few more super chats and then we'll go ahead and continue with the show. Aaron L says, can't imagine not being around women for 80. I can't imagine not being around women for 80 days, for 80 hours. 80 hours, Aaron L. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Live Sega says you have to look into the anti-Semitism part because it's worded to where if you quote certain scriptures from the Bible, it's anti-Semitism. Okay, well, send it to me in an email and we'll review it together. Viper Venom says, apologies for interrupting the show topics, but now the power of tool makers are being exposed on TikTok. Milwaukee Snap on DeWalt, free spare batteries and 600% off. The frenzy is hilarious. Thank you, Viper Venom, for contributing it to the platform. Thank you for the 10 ball. It does not go unappreciated. Could I petition for you guys to hit a like for the algorithm? The over 3,500 people on YouTube alone. Skinny Boy Django says, if you are a church and you take money from the government, you are not allowed to teach against homosexuality. I do not know anything about that. I'm going to take your word for it. Aaron L says, taking away DEI from Harvard hurts qualified. I know Aaron is heavy on the DEI. Qualified students from small schools. Wait, let me read this again. Taking away DEI from Harvard hurts qualified students from small schools who collaborate in research and med school feeder programs. It's a catch-22. Thank you, Aaron, for contributing into the platform. And again, we welcome diversity of thought. This is not an echo chamber. I'm going to tell you what I think. Also, I'm going to present to you the information. I'm going to give you my opinion. And then you guys are welcome to dispute against me by saying whatever it is that you want to say inside of the chat, as long as we keep it respectful. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody on TikTok. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Let's move on to the next part of the show. All right. Pam Bondi. All right. We're going to go Pam Bondi, and then we're going to get to probably my favorite part of the show, Letitia James. Pam Bondi, Department of Justice, is now suing the state of Maine. Now, this is not something that we should be divided against, ladies and gentlemen. Do you guys know why the Democrats threw Obama? Obama could have possibly been the worst thing that ever happened to black people in our lifetime. I'm not talking about in history. I'm not talking about ever. I'm not talking about in the 600 plus years of slavery. I'm not talking about none of that stuff, all right? I'm saying in my lifetime, I was born in 1982. I was raised as an 80s baby. The 90s made me. Yes. I come from a time where I could be able to see the difference between how things were before we had all of this social media and the internet and all of this stuff, and when we actually had to go outside versus being able to leverage the technology to continue to reach more people. Now, there's pros and cons that come along with it, but when I talk about the community and when I talk about black people, you guys actually voted for Obama based off of hope. I know that people don't like that. I know that people are going to be bothered about that. They don't want to have this conversation. People voted for Obama based off of hope. And he gave you nothing but sassiness. Obama's two lasting things that he did in the 8 years that he was in office. I'm not saying that everything he did was bad, because he did protect our borders. We got to give him credit for that. He did a lot of things, but a lot of it left us with a legacy that ultimately led to the destruction of our families, even worse in times that we were coming up in the 80s and the 90s and we didn't even know any better. But because everybody was broke at the time and everybody was trying to figure out what they were going to do, guess what? We allowed for Obama to give us hope. And Michelle, he sung to us. He serenaded you. He wore mom jeans. He talked like this. Because listen. I don't understand these Republicans, because when they come to the front of the congregation, and let's be clear, they definitely come to the front of the congregation. And I was talking to Michelle the other day, and what I found was when we come together, and make no mistake about it, we have to come together. When we come together, there's nothing that can stop us. And next thing you know, people was getting married, men was with men, women was with women. The highest divorce rate is among lesbians now. All of that type of stuff. Everything that we could have imagined, Pandora's box was opened. Pandora's box was opened. Absolutely opened. Why? Because Obama wanted to leave us a legacy of sassiness. And so instead of doing anything that y'all thought that he was going to do for the black community, you know what he gave you? Sassy, ashy, and then left you with a legacy that ultimately gave you Biden, because Biden was the vice president and he the one that came up next because he was next in line. Obama. And he sat like this. Obama. And now what do we have? We have Pam Bondi. We got to get a short white woman with blonde hair. Think about this for a second. To defend masculinity. We have to get a white woman with blonde, beach blonde, white hair to then defend masculinity. If this is not the ultimate reverse Uno card, I don't know what is. We got to get Pam Bondi to come up and say, you know what, Maine, we going to sue you because you refuse to not let men inside of women's sports. There's no reason why you should have LeBron James dunking on Caitlin Clark. There's no reason why we should have swimmers, wrestlers, fencers, volleyball participants. These dudes that look like that couldn't compete with other men, they come in and they dominate in y'all sports. But this is what's happening. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
This just in, Attorney General Pam Bondi suing the state of Maine over refusing to comply with a ban on trans athletes in high school sports. CNN's Paula Reed has all the details and is just coming in now at the Justice Department for us. Paula, what did the Attorney General say and what happens now?
Well, of course, this follows that high-profile confrontation between Maine's governor and President Trump earlier this year, where the governor made it clear she did not intend to comply with his executive order banning transgender athletes from girls' sports. And she said, "See you in court." Well, now that is a reality, but this also seemed like the natural next step in this ongoing controversy, because shortly after that confrontation in the White House, the state of Maine faced a barrage of federal retaliation. Multiple agencies, including the Department of Agriculture, Health and Human Services, the Department of Education, and the Department of Justice, threatened federal funding. The Attorney General back in February sent Maine a letter saying that it had to comply. So it's not surprising that we're here 2 months later filing this lawsuit. Here's what the Attorney General said about her effort today. Let's take a listen.
This is about sports. This is also about these young women's personal safety. I've met many of these women throughout the past weeks and months, and what they have been through is horrific. We have exhausted every other remedy. We tried to get Maine to comply. We don't like standing up here and filing lawsuits. We want to get states to comply with us. That's what this is about.
Now, the state of Maine says there are only 2 transgender athletes participating in girls' sports at this time. So, look, there are legitimate questions here about whether
one is too many. One is too many. One person, because it opens up the door for everybody to then reference that and say, well, listen, if we were able to do it on this, then why can we not justify going forward and doing it on this? What do you mean it's only 2? That's 2 too many. It's 3 too many, because somebody shouldn't even have been thinking about competing in women's sports. And the parents shouldn't even be allowing their children to compete in women's sports. I blame women for this. I'm going to just be honest with you. I blame women for this. It wasn't enough for y'all to have gay best friends. It wasn't enough for y'all to then include them in y'all diversity, equity, and inclusion. Even though it's a lifestyle choice, it should not play any role of whether you get hired, whether or not you do this. I blame y'all because y'all was on the front lines advocating for them. You love them. They your friends. You let them lay and cuddle with you and all of this stuff. When men told you, we told you, I'm going to just be real with you. We told you, we warned you. We said, listen, this is an attack on masculinity, but the women are going to be the ones that suffer as a result of it. You ignored us and you said that we was crazy. You said that we was crazy. No, hush up. If it don't affect you, then why do you care? Next thing you know, they in the bathrooms like, hey, sis, nice makeup routine. Pissing on your toilets. Now they spiking the hall. Spiking the ball on your heads. All on your head top. And what do? They lean into having us come and save them from themselves. It's the same thing that Eve did in the Garden of Eden. Hey, listen, hey, Eve. Didn't God say that we shouldn't eat from the one in the tree in the middle? We already got it good. We walking around naked. My schlong is out. Your titties is out. We having a good time. Life is good. We can eat from everything. The animals love us. We ain't got to till the ground. The mist from the ground come and nurture everything. All we got to do is name each other, eat good fruit, and I can bust it down for a real one. And you know what she said? She said, but I like that serpent over there. Something he's saying to me is just a little different. It's just a little different. We say, hey, listen, don't talk to the sassy serpent. Don't even let him inside of your sphere. Hey, it's going to mess up everything. Don't you realize that this is hijacking the civil rights movement, because feminism hijacked the civil rights movement, which then allowed for diversity, equity, and inclusion and all of these sassy movements to hijack feminism, because now it's not even about black people. It's about black and brown people, and white women are the ones that benefit the most from diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's not even beneficial to you. So when we start to designate different groups, how do we then stop? And it's opening up Pandora's box, and we're overly stimulated, and we need to go back to traditional ways, and the ways that we were successful in the first place. And now that we got the option to choose for ourselves, we worse off than ever before, even right after slavery. And y'all was like, no, but I love him. We want them as our best friends. We just don't want them as our husbands. And then at the same time, you saying, well, we ain't no good men out here. Where's all of the masculine men? Well, you raised them to be your son husbands. You raised them to do your hair. And you raised them to participate in your sports and to piss in the bath stall right next to you. You raised them. You raised them. You groomed them. You raised them. Now you got a generation of men that don't know whether or not they should stand up or sit down when they got to do a number one. You raised them. We have a generation of men that don't know whether or not they should sit down or stand up when they got to take a piss. Don't say piss. That's offensive. What? So we can't take pisses now? Don't invite me over your house. I'm going to leave the toilet seat up every single time. Soon as you come into the bathroom to go and use it at night because you can't see and you sleepy, oh, I'm going through the change. I need to go and use the bathroom. You're going to fall in the toilet every time. Every time. And me and your son is going to be high-fiving in the other room. See how we got her again. Yeah. Me and your son, I told you I'm going on tour this summer. I'm spending the night, baby. I'm going to spend the night. I'm not going to kick over your son's fort. I'm going to play stepdaddy for that night. Hey, want to play a prank on your mama? Yeah, she a little bit out of it. Don't ask me why she out of it. She out of it. All right? Listen, you asking too many questions. You want to play a prank on your mama or not? All right, I'm going to teach you. Go in there, take a piss. Don't stop. Dog, don't sit down when you take a piss. Stand up. Well, my mama said that I have to sit down because I don't want to mess up by leaving the toilet seat up. Hey, man, put some bass in your voice, big dog. Stand up, lift up the toilet seat, take a piss, and don't put it back down. I'm going to get in trouble. Hey, man, where your daddy at? He in jail. I can only see him once a month when we travel 2 hours up north to go and visit him. Hey, I gotta paint the picture for you so that you better understand what we're dealing with on a regular basis. If I don't paint the picture for you, then you're going to think that I'm trying to be disingenuous. I'm painting the picture of what these women are going through, and then they want to decenter men. Don't decenter us. Embrace us. We the ones that told y'all shouldn't be in this situation in the first place.
The fact that this governor stood up to President Trump in a very public way resulted in almost the full force of the federal government being used against that state. But look, this is an issue that has played out across the country. And the Attorney General signaled today she may file lawsuits against other states.
And the Attorney General also speaking today more about the case of the Maryland man who is mistakenly deported to El Salvador. What's she saying?
Yeah, our colleague from Fox News asked her whether the government would present evidence that Mr. Abrego Garcia was connected to MS-13. He pressed her, why not make that evidence public? She made no commitment to make that public. And it's clear at this time the Justice Department has no intention of bringing him back. Notably, she was also asked about why the Justice Department has prioritized acts of violence at Tesla dealerships and whether it will do the same for the recent arson attack at the governor of Pennsylvania's home. Now, she did say that they're working alongside state partners, but did not appear to commit to the idea that that was any form of domestic terrorism or a full-blown federal investigation. So again, the Attorney General, she's done a lot of press conferences, and it was good that she took questions on a variety of topics.
Yeah. Paula Reed, great to see you. Thank you so much.
So essentially now we have to deploy other people, including the Attorney General, including the Department of Justice, including the Trump administration, then anything that we can get our hands on, to try to save your son from always sitting down every single time you got to pee, and to save your women, right, from being subjected to dudes inside of their bathrooms and beating up on them inside of their sports. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Eric Wealth Harris says, AD, I have to hold. What did you say? You missing a word there. AD, I have to hold you accountable. You don't give Obama enough credit. You never mentioned he gave us Obama phones. Thank you for the fireball. I appreciate you. 392Q says, Cook, Chef Anton, cook. I gotta just, I'm an equal accountability holder. Somebody called Carrie. No, y'all let Carrie stay in her way. Mika, what up, Mika? What up to my girl? Mika says, I have my own bathroom in my room. Men do too much. No, we gotta piss on that seat, Mika. You know what we do. Pierre says, the Anton Daniels I Choose You tour is sponsored by Plan C and Prep. I didn't even know that it was a such thing as Plan C until I got on the internet, and then I better understood what the heck was going on. So I am now aware that there is a Plan C. I thought that there was only a Plan B, and I'm assuming that they're going to go with a Plan D at some point, maybe all the way into the pregnancy. Who knows? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's pivot. We're going to go into my favorite part of the show, the second half of the show. The first hour is over. If you have not shared this with your family and friends, then you are doing yourself a disservice. You definitely, no, that's not the one we want to talk about. You definitely need to be sharing this with your family and friends because we don't want to be successful by ourselves. We definitely want to keep y'all in the loop on what's going on. So let's talk about my girl, Letitia James. Now, Letitia James is one of the biggest offenders of justice, in my opinion, in the United States of America. There is a reason, I believe there is a reason why they try so fervently to prevent Trump from being able to get in office in the places that some of these liberals already had a stronghold, but obviously they knew that it didn't really matter of whether or not he was elected in New York. It didn't really matter if whether or not he was elected in California. You know why? Because we knew how they were going to vote anyway, and so it didn't make a difference. What we were more concerned about was if he was going to win the swing states. Now, they were leveraging people like Fani Willis down there in Fulton County, Georgia, who filed all of these false charges against the Trump administration. We often at times see Jasmine Crockett bloviate. I like that word, bloviate. And we see her make false accusations. She says, well, Trump is a convicted felon. Well, as a result of what? A witch hunt. We know that Fani Willis, according to White House records, actually met with Kamala Harris, according to White House records. This is not my opinion. We know for a fact that Fani Willis and her little boy toy and Andre Dickens, the mayor of Atlanta, took a trip up to the White House prior to charges being filed down there in Fulton County, Georgia, in order to prevent Trump to ultimately become the president of the United States of America. And Letitia James played her role too. But it's a very bad thing when you start to throw stones and you live in a glass house. Listen, if you are going to be one of the biggest champions, one of the biggest people that's at the front of the congregation, the biggest protesters that say, yep, we need to hold this guy accountable. Yep, we want to go ahead and convict him. Yep, we want to throw him under the jail. I have to start questioning you because your entire platform and how you got elected was all based off of the fact that you were promising the people that you was going to go after Trump. Why do you want to go after this great American so badly? Why don't you want the election process to take its course and let the people determine whether or not he's going to become president of the United States of America? They literally tried to take our choices from us. They tried to take our choices from us. They did not want to allow for us to be able to determine for ourselves if we wanted Trump to be president of the United States or not. I always find that liberals become less tolerant of the other side, and diversity, equity, and inclusion goes out the door when they don't agree with you. But here we are. And eventually we knew that certain things was going to come to the light. You start digging enough, you're going to find what you need. That's why I tell women to stay out of men's phones. Stop looking for something that you're going to find. That's a whole nother conversation. I Choose You Too tour is coming soon. Anyways, Letitia James is being held accountable, and it's being recommended that she basically face charges over something that we didn't know was happening, but we realized that she just a ghetto boo just like everybody else. She just got a high position and she talk proper. Let me help you to understand.
Speaking of the law, the Trump administration referring New York Attorney General Letitia James for possible prosecution over suspected, get this, fraud over a mortgage on a house in Virginia.
Todd Pyro joins us now with the details. Todd?
Good morning to all four of you. Remember that song from the 90s, Things That Make You Go, This is that. The Ingram angle obtaining documents from the Federal Housing Finance Agency accusing James of, quote, falsifying records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. Now, here is what she's accused of doing. 1, listing a home in Virginia as her primary residence in 2023 while serving as New York's top prosecutor.
Now, everybody knows, anybody, because that's the light thing. We're going to get to the more complicated thing shortly. Everybody knows that you have to have a residence, or you should be a resident of whatever respective place that you are then running for office for. If I want to run for the mayor or city council of Detroit, guess what? I have to be a resident by a certain time in order to continue to keep that. And I should not be changing my residence during the time or my tenure if I just so happen to win to become president or mayor or whatever it is that I need to run for that particular city or that particular position. And so she was already finessing so that she can get favorable terms, and she was doing the same thing that a bunch of other people are doing, but we have to hold our public servants that are using taxpayer dollars and getting paid by taxpayer dollars to a higher standard, We have to hold our public servants to a higher standard. So first of all, she was already using a fake address, or maybe it was a real address, I don't know.
2, James reportedly also listed her father as her husband on mortgage applications. ...2023 while serving as New York's top prosecutor. 2, James reportedly also listed her father as her husband on mortgage applications. And 3, the Federal Housing Finance Agency says she bought a 5-family home in Brooklyn, but misrepresented the same property as only having 4 units in building permit applications and numerous documents. Now, this, of course, is a role reversal of sorts for James. In 2022, she won a $454 million civil fraud judgment against President Trump and the Trump Organization.
Molly, you said she not married? I thought she was married. I know that the guy that she was talking to, or at least the guy that they were saying was her husband, let me pull him up. This is what I seen, right? This is the picture that I seen. Now, y'all tell me if I'm off or not. This is the picture that I seen. Let me ask y'all a question while we look at this. Now, I am not a person that believes that anybody should criticize somebody that is talking to somebody that is of another race. How come all of the biggest pro-black people, y'all support them because they black? Make sure you elect the black woman, the first black woman, this and that, so on and so forth. From Kamala Harris all the way over into, and again, you're talking to a person that is cool. I am an advocate. I am an advocate for people going where they can find love, where they celebrate it, not where they tolerate it. But why is it that we use race to justify electing people, the first woman, the first black woman, or whatever, so on and so forth? We hold men. I seen Jasmine Crockett just a couple weeks ago was being held accountable for some of the incendiary remarks that she made about Byron Donalds, because Byron Donalds, who has been married for a long time, by the way, and is a phenomenal father and is a great legislator. Byron Donalds was just being held accountable by Jasmine Crockett, who then championed Kamala Harris for divesting and not actually talking to a black woman. And then every single time, this is what's being alleged. I don't understand it. I don't. And again, I think that people should talk to whoever it is that they want to talk to. But I'm trying to understand, why is these standards only applicable when they want to call you out of your name and when you're on the other side, but it's not applicable when it comes to the people that's on the same side that is using this as leverage to continue to get themselves in a position that they need to be in? Just a question. But they're saying that she listed her father as her husband in order to get more favorable terms for her mortgage rates.
Stating he falsified business records and misrepresented his net worth. That case currently on appeal. James frequently sat in the courtroom throughout those proceedings. No love lost between the two, as you can see in some of these pictures. President Trump reacting to the new accusations against her, writing on Truth Social. Letitia James, a totally corrupt politician, should resign from her position as New York State Attorney General immediately. Everyone is trying to make New York great again, and it can never be done with this wacky crook in office. Fox News contributor and law professor Jonathan Turley also weighing in. Watch.
The irony is perfectly crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. As for James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward.
Letitia James has not responded to our request for.
Well, of course she didn't.
Guys, back over to you.
It is such a crazy story, but Todd, I mean, there she.
Of course she didn't. Let's actually go over to the initial report where they were talking about this. And I believe it was as a courtesy of Laura Ingraham. Laura Ingraham show was the one that broke this story. Let's dig into it.
It's important that attorneys general representing our respective states stand up and enforce the rule of law. The president of these United States is not above the law.
No matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are, everyone must play by the same rules.
Please sue him for us.
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the.
And now the Trump Justice Department may be a pain in her you-know-what. The Angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Somebody get Carrie on the phone. Quentin is being mean, saying that she got an extra neck.
The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He cited a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get a different type and more favorable loan. Joining me now is Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and law professor at GW University. Jonathan, mortgage fraud is rampant in the United States. There's all sorts of fraud that's rampant. There's disability fraud that they've vowed to crack down on in the Trump administration. But this is another thing that they have vowed to crack down on because it costs real money. Your reaction to these allegations?
Well, obviously, the irony is perfectly crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. And among the charges that were brought in New York, in not just the civil but the criminal case, was making false or misleading statements to financial institutions. And one of these sections, Section 1014 of the federal code, is prosecuted. It took me about 60 seconds of a search to find cases that the Department of Justice brought against people who falsely claimed that property was their principal residence in order to get loans. So this is well-tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court just stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements. These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or it's not.
Or it's not.
Either you're married to your father or he's your father. So they can this can satisfy the Thompson standard.
Yeah, well, Jonathan, we reached out to the DOJ, and they have no comment on this referral. We also reached out to Attorney General James, who did not respond to us either. So, again, everyone wants the best interest rate you can get. I understand that. But, she's a lawyer. She knows that when you sign a mortgage application, that mortgage application, if you're borrowing money, if you're not borrowing money, nobody cares whether it's your principal residence, except, where you file your taxes. But she decided to state that that was her principal residence, knowing it was not her principal residence. I didn't even know she had property. I mean, I guess she had property in Virginia and she has rental or investment property in New York. That's fine. But in the New York matter, to get the favorable rate, the building could only have 4 units. But for, it looks like its entirety, the entirety of this building, it had 5 units, meaning it was in violation of the actual loan agreement. And again, this is not a novel application of the law, Jonathan. As you stated during the persecution of Donald Trump, she was using all these novel applications of law to go after him. This isn't novel. This is a black and white issue. You either did or you didn't.
Right, and this has been prosecuted in the past. Now, we have not heard her side of this, but these documents themselves are quite damning. It's hard to see how the residences listed were her principal residence. The business about her father is just bizarre. Now, I'll note that one of the things that Letitia James stressed in her case against Trump is that Trump had to review documents that were filed in his name. And so she dismissed the argument that this was something that Trump's people put together. She said he's ultimately responsible. So they allege that she gave a power of attorney in a couple of these instances, but according to her own standard, that's not enough.
She needs to be brought to the front of the congregation. She needs to be held accountable. Somebody needs to force her to answer for whatever it is that she's being accused of. And if she can't answer it correctly, then she needs to be thrown under the jail and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, the same way that she tried to use the law against the Trump administration. She needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The same way that she was throwing stones at Trump in a glass house, we need to go and make sure that she's held accountable and her reputation needs to be placed on the line. No exceptions. No grace, no nothing. We need to make sure that she's held accountable 100%. If this is true, and I believe in our justice system, I believe that it's innocent until proven guilty, she needs to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Flat out. No exceptions. That's where I stand on this. I don't think that there's anything that we need to figure out. I think that we know exactly where we stand on this. All right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and it's all of these people is getting exposed. All of these people are getting exposed for who they truly are, and they were ops from the beginning, but y'all supported them, y'all loved them, y'all rocked with them, and now they making y'all look bad. He said, no, Anton, she's a black queen, and she can do no wrong. Why would you? Okay, so listen, who thinks to put their father, respectfully, and I know that it's a lot of people that do a lot of finessing and is trying to figure it out. Here's my question. Who thinks to put their father as their husband? That is some diabolical finessing. You know that those mortgage documents exist forever, right? We're not talking about a rent application where you inflate your income a little bit. We're not talking about arguing with your baby daddy on who gonna claim the dependent. We talking about straight up and down mortgage fraud, finessing. The same thing that she's supposed to be prosecuting is the thing that she's guilty of. Well, maybe not guilty of. I don't want to go that far. We got an innocent until proven guilty. We believe in a court of law. Even though they didn't believe in the court of law and they was trying to hold Trump accountable as a result of it, we believe in the court of law and we got to do things in order. So, we going to see, and we going to see how that plays out. And they really tried to go against the president of the United States of America. That's crazy. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel. Crooks, facts, crooks. Let me read some of these super chats and then we going to go on from there, y'all. We got the second half of the show that we gearing up for. If you at work, make sure you throw your headphones in. If you at the daycare, make sure you tune in. If you're in the truck, make sure you turn the volume up. Let me help you get you through your day on the Millionaire Morning Show, the greatest show on the face of the earth that adds additional context and talks about all of the popular cultural topics that we need to be addressing to make sure that we get the information to make informed decisions. All right. Just Christian came through and says, unlike the vague charges she tried to put on Trump, what she did was obvious. 4 units qualify as a residential loan. 5 or more units has to be on a commercial loan. Lock her up. A dad husband is diabolical. I would never think to place my mother as my wife. You know what I'm saying? I would never think to place my mother as my wife. That sounds crazy. Executive suite, my dog, DQ the exec, says she is a prime example of stepping in your own Went too hard, lost credibility like the rest of the party. We work in the same building. Do y'all? Oh, okay. Chase and Tien's in the building, says not sure who's worse, Letitia James or Fonnie Willis. All of them, they all the same, in the same boat. All of them ghetto too. Democrats, party of criminality and hypocrisy. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Let me move up, Mr. Joe. I appreciate you. My dog Quentin Q Diddy in the building says, I shall abstain from the I Choose You tour. No, you're going to be the headliner. He going to be the headliner. I'm not the headliner. Q Diddy is the headliner. I'm the opening act. Slimmy is the get you hype before we get Q Diddy in there. Q Diddy, y'all don't know the real Q. The real Q is different. My principles preclude participation in frivolous entanglements lacking depth or discernment. I know I'm making the third grade people, the people that read at the third grade level, I know I'm making them mad right now. JP says, did you see the U.S. raise tariffs to China to 245%? No. Let me see what's happening. Bridget D says, Anton, it's not just our women fault. Love the show. Very motivational. Okay, Bridget. Okay, well, help me to understand it then. Without question, what the hell? She listed her father as her husband. What in the Ancestry.com is going on around these parts? You know what I'm saying? Mr. Lott says she needs to join Block Club. No, they just like the finesse. They like the finesse. Destination DeFi says, yo, Anton, Laura Loomer actually sent this info to Trump team months ago while Trump was in court fighting his property for his property. If they paid attention, that could have saved them a lot of time and money. No, what makes you think they didn't pay attention? Willie Loves is 80. Did you know that women are going crazy for $3 Trader Joe's shopping tote bags? They're buying them at $250 resale on eBay. What? Why? Brotherly advice says, ladies and gentlemen, a real life booger bear. Just Christian says, Letitia should have just joined the WNBA. Manuel AG says, she sued Trump for lying to the banks about the value of Mar-a-Lago to get favorable loans, yet she lied to get favorable loans. Hypocrite. Zach says, Ilhan Omar married her brother. Did she really? Seriously? Come on, man. Y'all got to stop hitting me with the ooh-wop shebang. Pro-black is a scam just like Black Women's Pain. Hence the endless You Got This Queen events and wealth building courses. We're often bamboozled by our own. Bottom line, she is a scammer. Y'all going in today. LaToya, what up, Toya? Toya looking pretty, ain't she? Toya, you coming to the tour? You coming to the meetup? Let me not say the tour. You coming to the meetup? Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. We shook. Scared to death, scared to look, you shook. You ain't know I knew that, did you? You ain't know I was up on that, did you, Toya? M-O-B-B. Yeah, I love Mobb Deep. One of the greatest albums of all time is The Infamous. I know you heard of us, Murderers. Official Queensbridge Murderers. The mob come equipped with warfare beware. Y'all ain't know that, did y'all? Y'all ain't know I was... For all those who want to profile and pose, grab you in your brain, strap your name with the nose bone. You all alone in these streets, cousin. They didn't know. They thought that we was just out here just talking about Drizzy Drake and Kendrick Lamar. They not familiar with The Infamous. I know you heard of us, Official Queensbridge Murderers. They not familiar with that. They didn't know that we was wearing our Wallabies and our Timbs. What up, Carrie? What you doing here? What you doing here, Carrie? Carrie, what you doing here, Carrie? Oh, yeah. They don't know nothing about that. If I ruled the world and everything in it, sky's the limit. I push a Q45 infinite. It wouldn't be no such things as jealousies or beef felonies. Strictly living longevity to the destiny I thought I'd never see. What reality struck? You better find out before your time's out. What the? If I ruled the world. Imagine that. I free all my son. Black diamonds and pearls. I'm going all 90s this afternoon. All 90s in my music selection today. Why Carrie here, y'all? Carrie, we not even doing nothing. We chilling, baby. We slow motion. Enforcer 2K9 says, Letitia took your term son husband and raised you, didn't she? You called her, Quinn? Oh, my God. No bonuses this month. Dre with the K, thank you, my friend, for holding me down. I appreciate you. Hey, AD, I got a couple of thou to donate to the I Choose You tour. I need some more tax write-offs. You might need to get a promo code for the Plan B and the C. I'm on it, Dre. I'm on it, Dre. Yeah, I'm on it, Dre. I got you, big dog. I got you, big dog. Listen, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. Dre with the K with the 50 ball. I appreciate you. We be having some good times in here. Some of y'all may not be of age, but we gonna bring you up to speed. We're going to bring you up to speed. We're going to make sure that you guys know everything that you need to know from the right part of the culture, also to the right politics. All right? Let's go ahead and get into the next part of the show. We want to go over to China. Somebody said that the United States of America raised tariffs on China to 245%. Let me go and see that for myself. I got to go and see this for myself. Trump tariffs. Why is California suing Trump on tariffs? According to Newsweek, they're saying that China faces a 245% tariff. Let me pull this up, all right? I got to pull this up for the people. Give me a second, and then we're going to get into China wanting to start negotiating, and they appointed a new negotiator. So let me make sure I got this set up correctly. I did not know that. I am from Dirt Merc to Classics. I did not know this. I did not know that it was a possible 245% tariff that was coming in. But let me go ahead and pull it up. This is according to, move that down a little bit. They saying sign me up. No, I don't want to sign up. I'm not going. All right, let's deep dive. Let's see. White House said China is facing so it's not yet in action. The White House says China is facing a 245% tariff on imports to the U.S. as a result of its retaliatory actions as the trade war between the world's two largest economies continues to heat up. The top potential tariff was referenced in a fact sheet published by the White House on Tuesday. It accompanied an executive order signed by President Trump that launched an investigation into the national security risks posed by U.S. reliance on imported processed critical minerals and their derivative products. A White House official told Newsweek that the calculation reflects the maximum potential rate some Chinese goods can face, combining the reciprocal tariff, the Fenty tariff, and the existing Section 301 tariffs that go up to 100%. Electric vehicles, for example, have an outstanding Section 301 tariffs of 100% dating back to the Biden administration, meaning these products could face a 245% rate in total. So that's not across the board. That's to be implemented depending on what products that we're referencing. All right, well, that is what's happening on that front, so I will keep y'all in the loop on what's going on. Let's pivot for a minute and let's talk about China saying that it won't. This is what China is saying that they won't. They said that they want respect. Now, maybe today, yesterday was a little bit more rough. Maybe today we can actually get somebody that can speak proper English so that we can understand what China wants.
Alan, how should I read this statement?
Right. The first thing to know, I think, is that China has always been saying that it is open to dialogue. But then, obviously, there's always the fine print. And China has always framed its openness to dialogue as a willingness to talk, as long as it is based on equality and respect mutually. But we are able to report today that China is open to talks with a little more specific conditions attached to it. First of all, as I said, China is demanding some respect.
Thank you, Chef G-Rap. I'm going to be reading
specifically, it basically wants the Trump administrations to rein in some of the cabinet members who makes disparaging remarks about China. And then the other more specific conditions is that China wants the U.S. side to appoint a person that it could have those talks with, which is understandable because we've seen how different members of the administration have said different things over the course of the last couple of months. And China is frustrated that it doesn't really know what the U.S. wants from this negotiation. And this person, as long as he could or she could put together a deal that both presidents could put their names on, it's our understanding that China didn't designate anybody.
Okay. That's really interesting. But isn't the issue with that we ultimately see Donald Trump being the final arbiter of what the U.S. side will accept, and isn't that the problem that we face here? That he's obviously thinks of himself as a deal maker and probably wants to be pulling the strings. Aren't the Chinese ultimately just going to be dealing with Trump? Isn't that the level at which this needs to be sorted out?
Yeah, I think we all know that Trump likes to deal with other leaders one-on-one to get them together in the same room and just hash it out between two leaders. But that's not how China normally operates here. And the bottom line is that China wants to deal with someone who actually represents or knows what Trump wants, so that any negotiation will have a meaningful outcome.
So that is what's happening on the front of China and what they're saying that they want from Trump. They're saying that they want respect, that they want to assign a negotiator that's not disrespectful, but they're also, right, in escalating this trade war, they're appointing a new trade negotiator. So China, even though they was acting like they was the big bad wolf and everybody was acting like, oh man, China is the big bad wolf, we need to be scared of them. All of a sudden, all of their retailers and all of their people and their propaganda machine and stuff is falling on deaf ears because Trump is not blinking. He is not relenting. He is absolutely willing to take this to the ends of the earth. And I'll add the additional context, but right now, China is now appointing a new trade negotiator in order to try to contact the U.S. behind the scenes to get these things fixed so that they can get rid of the tariffs.
And in an unexpected move this morning, China has appointed a new international trade negotiator amid this escalating tariff war with the U.S. Now this, as Beijing announced, its economy is exceeding expectations, growing by 5.4% from January to March. That's compared with the same period last year. However, analysts predict growth from the world's second largest economy will slow as the Trump administration's levies on Chinese goods into the U.S. take effect. For more on this, let's bring in BBC News correspondent Stephen McDonald. He's following developments from Beijing. Good morning to you, Stephen, or I guess good evening, since it's about 7:10 in China where you are. Help us understand why China's appointed a new trade envoy now.
Yeah, well, the appointment of Li Chenggang says two things. One, that they think they're heading into rough waters. And two, it looks like they are actually preparing for negotiations. Now, why do we say that?
Oh, two things that y'all said was not a possibility. A, everything is starting to get really, really rough, really, really fast for them. So they're starting to feel the economic impact of what Trump is already doing. Less than a month. Because y'all got to remember, listen, we're only about 2 weeks into tariffs. Trump didn't even announce the tariffs until April 2nd. We are at April 16th as the recording of this video and as this live stream is popping off. We are on April 16th. From April 2nd to April 16th, which is the equivalent of 2 weeks. It feels like it's been 2 months, hasn't it? In 2 weeks, you already see Chinese manufacturers and retailers catching hell. They have sped up overtime and pushing propaganda on TikTok and all of these other platforms. Now they've already allocated a new trade negotiator. That's number one. They're starting to feel the heat. They're starting to see an economic slowdown. And now they want to start having a conversation and coming to the table. Listen, if you are already great and everything is going well, then what you coming to the table for? What you coming to the table for? I thought everything was cool. You good over there? You good? Everything straight? It's like a woman. Everything can be taken back down to relationships. Everything can be related back down to relationships. It's just like a woman. She say, you know I'm going to leave, ain't I? You know I'm going to leave. And you be like, because, you know, they so used to you saying, oh, baby, baby, please. Because, you know, the R&B stars of the 90s, they was begging women, I'll do anything for you. I'll give you the world and some. I give you the world and down in the mountains. I'll give you the world. You know, they was giving you all of that. And we was skating to it. And even more. It was like, what? If we go back and listen to some of this nonsense that we was being programmed in the 90s, it's like, what do you mean you'll give her the world and more? Are you selling wolf tickets or what? We used to be begging outside of their window, singing to them on the phone and stuff like that. They're used to that. China is used to the United States of America kowtowing and giving in and saying, hey, we're going to give you the world. Just all you got to do is continue to be a part of what it is that we got going on, and we going to rock out with you. That's what they used to. And then you get a little settled, you know. Y'all get into y'all relationship a bit. She keep on talking stuff. You know what? I'm going to leave if you keep on talking. And then finally you say, tariff, get your ass up out that house. Cool. Get on up out the house then if you think you tough. Okay, cool. She take her little suitcase. She go outside. It just so happened to not be so hot that day. It's a little cooler outside. It's about 27 degrees, 37 degrees tops. That wind is hitting her face. She get inside of the car. This is what tariffs do to you. I'm trying to break it down from a C student's perspective so y'all understand exactly what's going on. She get inside of that car. Start it up. It's a little less than a quarter tank of gas. She used to her husband filling it up. She go to use the cards. It's to put a stop on the cards. Oh, use your own money. You got this. You got it. She go to her mother's house for the first day, right? She go back to I go to my mama's house. She lay there on the couch. She see that roach run across the ceiling, the thing that she got away from, the thing that she was so happy to get you away from. See, all of them women on TikTok, they put a battery in her back. Girl, hold strong. Leave them. Meanwhile, they laid up with their husband and they man like, this girl, here, baby, you see what this girl is going through? They showing their husband your story and sharing it with their friends in a group chat, laughing at your situation while typing in your comments, yeah, girl, hold strong. Hold strong. You see that roach run across the ceiling? Ain't no food in the refrigerator. Credit card's been cut off because you ain't been paying them in any way. Next thing you know, you want to send you sending your negotiator. You contact him by a third party because you don't want him to know that you out there suffering. So what you do is you tell somebody that you know is going to get back to him, but you didn't know that he was in the house playing video games because he feel free. He slept in a whole bed. He didn't have to be curled up. The covers wasn't being pulled off of him to where he was freezing in the morning, and he ain't got to do none of that. You didn't know. See, he was having a good time. He was having a good time. He did the scene, what is it, Tom Cruise when he went in and he slid in with his socks on and he was playing it. He was like a kid on Home Alone. He didn't even, all you did was unleash the beast. He never gonna be the same when you, even if you did come back. So then eventually you say, call him after 2 days, the second day suffering. You ready to talk? He over there giggling while you laughing and calling on the phone. This is how we looking at China. This is how we looking at China. And you know the worst part about you leaving is that you can't finesse them and thinking that you was actually doing something for him when you was here. See, what he realized is that, wait a minute, what is all this cleaning that she doing all day? You know why? Because the house never got dirty when he went to work. He realized, wait a minute, all I got to do is throw this Tide Pod in here and everything is going to get cleaned on its own and then I just got to throw it inside of the dryer? Wait. You mean all I got to do is take 2 minutes to make up the bed? That no dishes is in the sink because I don't even eat here in the first place? So what the hell you doing all day? Now you unlocked him. You messed up. You messed up. You didn't know that we realized that we didn't need Chinese products. And so now we're willing to go all the way. Tariff on your butt. Simple Life Living says, Anton, why do you always make this thing about women? Something is not right. The best way to explain it from a C student's perspective is to speak about it in relationship terms because everybody understands relationships. So I have to break it down in ways because if we just talk lingo, if we just talk tariffs, 245% tariff, this product over there, this is manufactured, luxury goods and all, then people gonna get lost in the sauce. It's no fun that way. It's no fun. There's not a learning experience. And so you got to meet people where there are. And so if you start talking about relationships, they be like, oh, that makes sense. So this is why tariffs. Don't get so easily offended. Listen, if you having problems in your relationship, if you're having issues, don't despair. Send me an email at antondaniels.com, antondaniels413@gmail.com, or fill out the form at antondaniels.com, and then we'll get back to you as soon as possible. We can fix your relationship. Don't be so offended. Why he always talking about what women is doing? Because women be doing some stuff that we can relate to that we then need to bring y'all to the front of the congregation so we can better understand tariffs. Now, if you're not having any problems, then this should not be triggering to you. You can't ask Anton from AntonDaniels.com, why you always talking about taking drugs? Why you always offended? Because I'm not a dope fiend. So I can talk about it without being offended by it. Or if you talk about it, then I'm not going to get offended because you're talking about a dope fiend because I ain't never did dope. I can call my girl. Matter of fact, my girl is at a Pilates class right now. Looking at her location. Pilates. There she is. I see her. See that? Got to find mine. She over there working it out. Remember when I was holding y'all accountable on after hours and I said, listen, what is women doing all day to where they can't take care of business and be on top of things? I'm looking at her right there. Pilates and the boxing club. You see that? See her right there. Bing. Pilates. Hey, Rita. Stay fit. Stay on top of things. Make sure you keep it tight. That way I don't have to tariff you when I get home. Let's continue.
Because he's a veteran trade negotiator who was China's former ambassador to the World Trade Organization in Geneva, just the type of person you would want to have to be sitting down with the US if you're going to cut some tough deals. So just his appointment makes it seem like, on the one hand, they're worried about where China's going, but on the other, if there are going to be negotiations, this is who we'd want to do it. And I think it does show that at some point they realize they're going to have to talk to Washington.
See, y'all think that See, y'all thought that I got finesse with that. See, what y'all didn't realize, y'all saying, oh, she left the phone where she wants you to be. That's why you got to have to go with a partner. You see the second person? Y'all didn't see the second person. You see the second person on there? That's Rita, and then that's the second person. See, listen, I'm 10 step. I'm playing 4D chess, and y'all over here playing checkers. See, that's some stuff that showgirl would do. I'm playing 4D chess, and y'all playing checkers. Listen, it's multiple different people that's over here at this location, baby. Yeah. Gotta send her with a partner. Yeah. See, you thought you had me. I'm way ahead of you. Big dog. And more importantly, if you can't trust her to do what she's supposed to do, you shouldn't even be with her in the first place, all right?
As we just mentioned, China is exceeding growth expectations now, but when will tariffs, in your view, begin to have an impact on those numbers?
I think in the next quarter, I mean, sure, we saw some good figures today, showing that really the Chinese economy was holding up much better than expected for the first quarter. Of course, all of that is before the tariffs kick in. So, we had an acknowledgement actually from the person from the Bureau of Statistics releasing these figures that
I'm not discriminating against you, Kerry.
Is going to hurt. There is going to be pain, but that China has the ability to stand up to the US in the face of this challenge. I think we're going to see it pretty quickly, though. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. We've seen reports that the companies here that produce Christmas decorations for the US market, they're supposed to have had their orders by now. Now, they haven't had those orders yet because of the fear that it's all going to cost too much. And it means that I suppose people have to dig out their old Christmas decorations in the US this year or pay more for them if they end up coming in from China again. Now, that's just one example. And I think all of the export sectors of the market that are targeting the US, they're bracing for these sorts of shocks.
So, anyways, long story short, China is now trying to come to the table and fix the situation and send a new negotiator. And then they're trying to pivot and act like they want some respect when in reality, we already know that they just suffering over there. And the economy is really going boom. So it's going bust anyways. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Y'all don't trust y'all girl? Y'all don't trust the girl that y'all with? Okay, so let me ask you a better question. Why you with her if you can't trust her? Why you with her if you can't trust her? You know what's so funny? I never even asked for her Find My or any of that type of stuff. She volunteered it like, here, take this because I want you to know where I'm at all times. I don't care. I'm not checking for her like that or whatever, but it is great content. If y'all with her, but you can't trust her, why are you with her? Why don't you just not be with her and just do whatever it is that you want to do? Why you with her if you can't trust her? That's stressful. Y'all don't think that that's a little stressful? Remember, I've been married for 21 years. It'll be 21 years in June. I ain't got time for these games, bro. No time for these games. Anyways, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel. It's crazy. Y'all over here running around behind these girls trying to find out where she at. Listen, bro, if he can get her, he can have her. Andre Farrar says, why'd you hit those if I ruled the world notes like that? Drop the record. I'm on it, big dog. I got you. Right? I'm going to do a tour and I'm going to do a song. Eric Wealth Harris says, no wonder I'm in the red. I'm just going to go buy more stocks. And shout out to the Godfather. Shout out to Eric Wealth Harris. They lying. Says, don't trust it, says Jason Green. CCP treat their people like the Dems treat us. Talk about it. Stick and move with China. Yoshi says, Xi may invade Taiwan if this stands. He loves Mao. Jay Hunter Lee says, appointing a new negotiator is a way for China to fold to protect Xi's ego. Facts. They don't want to say that he really want to talk. He's hiding behind this negotiator. Quentin says, this is how Carrie pronounced it. She says, and Quentin Quentin says, maybe now we can graduate from strategic ambiguity to strategic literacy. Quentin is really, really firing off today. He really want to catch you up on them words, ain't he? Amstar says, I would like to give a birthday shout out to my wife, Lakita Rain. Happy birthday, Lakita. I also want to thank God for us being able to celebrate 6 years of marriage, with more to come. Shout out to Lakita. Shout out to Amstars. Congratulations on 6 years of marriage. I love it when families come together. And since Carrie here, we can do the family part of the show, and then we're going to get back to the I Choose You tour when we know Carrie not here. A.R. Spinney says, because, girl, I love you more than words can show. Armand says, good afternoon, Anton. You should create a 90s R&B problematic list. That's what we taking on tour with us, big dog. Tell them what they want to hear. Never mind, let me be quiet. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Biden pulled back up. We didn't even know that Biden was still alive. So the latest version of the Manchurian Candidate pulled back up, and we know him as Sleepy Joe, a.k.a. Joe Biden. All right? Joe Biden, apparently somebody booked him to do a speech, and so he pulled up to have his conversation with the people, and this is what he had to say.
To ask the governor to take over, by the way. But look what's happened now. Fewer than 100 days, this new administration has done so much damage. And
he talks so slow, right? I wonder we didn't do a whole lot of review videos of Biden back when he was in office. We just talked about the things that he was doing wrong. It's so much different. Hey, we can't even appreciate what we have until we see what the alternative was. He looks like Cryptor. He looks like he's 3 steps away. And he got on all the makeup and all of the extra, they put his suit on for him and stuff like that. He looks like Nicolas Cage in, what is that, Ghost Rider or something like that, Hell Rider or whatever, Hellboy or something. He looks like Nicolas Cage. Come on, speed it up, Biden.
And so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon. They've taken a hatchet to the Social Security Administration, pushing an additional 7,000 employees, 7,000 out the door in that time, including the most seasoned career officials.
He can't even talk. He's including the most seasoned career officials.
Now they're getting ready to push thousands more out the door. Already we can see the effects. For example, thousands of people use the Social Security website every single day to check on their benefits and submit their claims. But now, the technology division of the Social Security Administration has been cut in half. And so the website's crashing.
Is the website up? What is the Social Security website at? Social Security website, Social Security Administration. It looks like it's up to me. Pretty pedestrian, straightforward. I'm trying to understand what the problem is. It looks like it's pretty up to me. Have y'all ever been to the Social Security Administration website? If you need to visit an office, schedule an appointment to find out what to know about proving your identity, benefits, Medicare, apply for benefits. Did anybody tell him that the Social Security website is up and is running full-fledged and there's nothing wrong with it? Sometimes they just be saying stuff, and so I have to make sure that I go and check for myself. Look like it's working pretty well to me.
People can't sign on to their accounts. What do you think it does to that woman's living alone at 74 years checking and just not able to even find out whether she can't even find out what that disability claim is she has?
What?
She can't file a new disability claim. And it's a lot of these people being told incorrectly that their benefits have ended.
What is he talking about? Is somebody, the one thing I hate when people do stuff like this. They'll use some fictional characters, some far out. We used to call them in the UX UI space. We used to call them, gosh, what do we used to call them? I'll pull it up and I'll show y'all what we used to call them.
Folks, imagine the panic that causes if you're a retiree living alone with only Social Security to depend upon.
Personas. Have y'all ever seen what a persona is? I'll show you what a persona is shortly if I can pull it up.
So now people are overwhelming the phone lines. They're showing up at the local Social Security office, tearful and frantic, and told, "Do you have an appointment?" In that tone, by the way. I can give you a personal example if I'm not going to though. To cap it all off, serious people are now generally concerned for the first time in history, for the first and only time in history, that Social Security benefits may be delayed or interrupted. Folks, let's put this in perspective. In the 90 years since Franklin Roosevelt created the Social Security system,
spit it out, big dog.
People have always gotten their Social Security checks. They've gotten them during wartime, during recessions, during a pandemic. No matter what, they got them. But now, for the first time ever, that might change.
He can't find anything. See, none of these people can truly criticize Trump on any of his policies. They can't criticize him on anything with regard to the Chinese war. They can't find anything whatsoever about what is wrong with the things that Trump is doing. And so what they wind up doing is they use an extreme example and then they make it up so that they can try to justify whatever it is that they're trying to justify to make people angry at the fact that the Trump administration is absolutely positively doing some awesome things. So, for example, I'll share this with you guys, and let me see if I can blow this up for you. What in the UX UI world we created, and I'm gonna just pull a Google image so that you guys can better understand it. We pull up what we think are, or what we create, what we know to be personas. Now, a persona is something that actually speaks to the application that you're designing, but it's all made up and it's all there to try to solve for. Sometimes you do these UX UI interviews and other times you don't, but it's all there so that you can try to solve for whatever the issue is. So, for example, in this persona right here, we gave him a name, or they gave him a name named Clark Andrews. He's 26. He's a software developer. He's single. He's over in California. This is his tier. So it's kind of sort of like a LinkedIn profile, but in essence, it's something to help us to speak to whatever the issues are. It may tell you what kind of computer that he uses, whether he has an Android or an iPhone, what he loves, the brand that's great in there, what his personality is, whether he loves, operating on a mobile device, or if he ever actually uses his laptop to access Twitter or Instagram or any of this type of stuff. And so the persona speaks to whatever it is that you're trying to solve the problem for. What politicians often do is that they create this mythical persona off of the top of their head in order to try to make you feel some type of way about the problem that they're trying to present to you or speak to. So they'll say, and what about the 74-year-old grandpa over in Delaware who has no internet connection? And we've been trying to get laws passed to get them internet connections in rural places, and their children are all gone. And their son actually got into an accident. And when they try to submit that disability claim, they're not able to do it because the Social Security website crashed. What is she supposed to do? Now, that is supposed to pull on your heartstrings so that you can say, no. Add all of this fraud, waste, and abuse back into the Social Security Administration, at an unsustainable level, so that we can run up the national deficit, increase inflation, even though inflation is at a historic low. Last I checked, I believe that inflation was at 2.7 or 2.4%. I believe inflation was at like 2.4%. I could be wrong on that. It may have adjusted here or there. But they use these long, drawn out analogies of what a persona is to try to paint a picture, and it is a classic strategy in both corporate America and politics, right? A lot of times when politicians are on a campaign trail, they'll say, and I spoke with this woman over in Omaha. And she came up to me and she said that her plant was closing and they don't know what they're going to do as far as jobs. This is the reason why we have this bill and we're trying to pass it through. Now, the reason that they got the bill and they're trying to pass it through has nothing to do whatsoever with this made-up woman that's over in Omaha. And she said that she's raising 2 kids alone. It is a classic case in both corporate America and in politics to appeal to your emotions instead of your logic of what decisions that we need to be making from a policy perspective. And this is why they use it to play. Often at times it works the most on younger people and liberals. They use it to play on your emotions so that you can vote emotionally instead of voting based off of what makes the most sense. And this is a classic case of what Biden is doing because he has no way to actually justify saying anything negative against Trump, so then they appeal to your emotions instead of appealing to logic.
It would be calamity for millions of families, millions of people.
See?
But the current Secretary of Commerce doesn't seem to get it. Or based on his comments, he doesn't seem to even care. Many of you saw what he said the other day. And by the way, he's a billionaire. God love him, as my mother would say.
Another persona. Look at this dude. Look at him in this picture right here. He don't even look like he got teeth. He doesn't even look like he has teeth. They're using another personification. Oh, and by the way, they're a billionaire, so they don't even really care about you.
Paying 8.5% in taxes. Anyway, billionaires don't know what he's paying.
We don't even know what he's saying.
When he talked about the possibility of the Social Security checks not going out this month, he shrugged it off. Here's what he said. He said his 94-year-old mother-in-law wouldn't complain, wouldn't bother her. She's probably a lovely woman. No kidding. Her son
is a billionaire. No kidding. Tell us we didn't know that this punchline was coming, y'all.
Oh, it's a billionaire. What about that 94-year-old mother living all by herself? Doesn't have a billionaire in the family. Or all the retirees who depend on that monthly check to...
I'm telling you that this is, once you learn it, once you see it, you're not able to unsee it. What about that 94-year-old woman that's over there in Ohio, in rural Ohio, and her son isn't a billionaire? It works every time to appeal to people that are emotional, and this is one of the reasons why you have to make sure that you temper the emotions of a lot of women.
Feed themselves. All those people with disabilities have no other source. What about all those people? That's who you fight for. So those who desperately need you. And folks, it's not just the Secretary of Commerce. We heard how others empowered and emboldened.
No way in hell. So I had the longer version of the speech. Look, you don't believe me? I got it right here. I got the longer version of the speech. And this version of the speech, the MSNBC one, the one that didn't get a lot of views.
It's my grade.
This one is 26 minutes long. No way in hell I'll be able to sit through a 26-minute long speech from Joe Biden. So we brought up the 4-minute one, the one that he had the most incendiary things to say about the Trump administration. Wasn't much at all. But we brought up the 4-minute one to show you what it is that you were missing in a Biden presidency. Thank you, Biden, for reminding us what we don't want. Could you imagine 4 more years of this guy sleeping at the wheel and letting illegal migrants inside of this country? Hell. No way, no how. Anyways, let me read some of these super chats and then we'll get you up out of here. It's Wednesday. No live stream tonight, huh? Quinn says they're only big words for those with a limited lexicon. Love you, Mika. They're only big words for those. Is limited lexicon, is that used in the right context? Saquon says you can't call yourself fair and imperial unless you cover J.D. Vance breaking the trophy. It would have been hilarious if he blamed it on Biden. He broke the trophy. What trophy did he break? Jason A-Team says, it is so weird how Biden will be so incoherent one second, then have crazy energy and speak properly another second. Also, how can you lie so much? I agree. A.R. Smitty says, what drugs they got my boy on? He done came a long way from that debate. He ain't far from it. I don't mess with JD no more. He dropped the national champ trophy. Did he really? Oh, JD. Courtney Yeager says, just showing love, big dog. I appreciate you. Shout out to my dog, Courtney Yeager. Go over there and check out his platform, y'all. Rush King 19 says they keep acting like more people in an organization is better and less is worse. How things are ran matter more. You can have all of the people in the world, but bad management and getting nothing done. That's a fact. Talk about it. Again, thank you to everybody that supported the platform. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anybody on Cash App, because I got to look out for all those and acknowledge everybody that support the platform. Thank you to everybody that hit a like for the algorithm. I want to give a shout out to Mike, that dude again, Spencer Campbell, and then my dog, Rand Wilson, says LA County 4Bs, $4 billion abuse settlement. Really? I'm going to have to check that out. Jamal Bradley, shout out to Jamal. Jamal says, only because you were talking about prison, take a second and look up Ty Dolla $ign Coachella performance. It's just glorifying more of the trash aspect of the culture and touches on your point. All right, I'm going to check that out. Dolla $ign. I know he dropped the album with Ye, with the Ye albums, and I know he been working with Ye, but what happened to Ty Dolla $ign once he dropped 2 months in the club? What happened to Ty Dolla $ign, y'all? I'm trying to figure out why Ty Dolla $ign drop off a little bit. He had the song of the summer. Ty Dolla $ign had a summertime hit. All my pieces in the valley. Ty Dolla $ign hit. He was hitting. That was when him and DJ Mustard and YG all came into the game at the same time. Ty Dolla $ign was slapping. Coke. Beach House 2 slap. Everybody's trying to get on the remix. He coked out? Molly said you still think he popular? More of a feature artist. Marketed dollars dried up. Interesting. All right. Well, I'm going to post something inside of the Patreon today. Definitely going to give y'all some insight. We keeping the same date. June 28th is the date. We're going to post the details of that inside of the Patreon shortly. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on the face of the earth. Do me a favor. Hit a like for the algorithm on y'all way out the door. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40%. Look at the Tiege. Look at what the Tiege did to me overnight, y'all. Let me show you what the Tiege do. Look at my skin. Look at my skin. Tiege do that to you. Would have had you glowed up. Sold up. No filters, baby. Get that Tiege Hanley. 40%. Tiege also made my beard get rid of all of the white. Tiege also got rid of all of the gray in my beard, y'all. We back. No, the Tiege is for the skin. It don't have nothing to do with the beard. My skin has always been beautiful. It's just that now that the gray is gone, you can see all of the beauty of what the Tiege do to the skin. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40%. Look at my teeth. Look how pretty my teeth. Y'all, I mean, I am gorgeous. Look at my teeth. Ladies, get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. Look at my skin. See, I don't have no pimples. See how smooth my head is? 43 look good on me. 43 look good on me. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. You know, when you start feeling yourself, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Yo, once I got my beard done, I say, yo, let's make sure we get our TikTok up and running because we got to go live on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Your voice get a little bit smoother. Hey, what y'all got going on over there? Nah, I'm just chilling. We chilling. We slow motion. Voice get a little bit smoother. You move a little bit more with a little bit more confidence, a little bit more pep in your step. You get your Tiege Hanley on. Shout out to y'all. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on the face of the earth. And I'm glad that we can joke around and have a good time and enjoy ourselves. If you're not subscribed to all of the platforms, do so. Anton Daniels, Millionaire Morning Show, After Hours, and Darth Anton. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I love you too, Rhonda. I love you. I love you, ladies. We going on tour this summer. I choose you too. Make sure Carrie ain't looking. Quentin is the headliner. Slimmy is the after hours performer. We out.